Hey everyone, and welcome. On behalf of all of us here at RWG Publishing, I want to thank you for joining us. We're about to dive deep into a topic that honestly couldn't be more important, empowering you with the knowledge you need to protect your rights.
You know that feeling, right? That sudden flash of red and blue in your rearview mirror. Your heart sinks into your stomach. It's a universal feeling, and it's loaded with anxiety. But what you choose to do in those first few moments, well, that can make all the difference. Knowing the right steps isn't just a good idea, it is absolutely critical.
And look, the solution here isn't about being confrontational, and it's definitely not about being scared. It's about being confident. And that confidence, it comes from knowledge. For this entire deep dive, our guide is an incredible book by Vincent called Know Your Rights. It's packed with clear, practical advice designed to empower every single one of us.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. Think of it as our game plan. We'll kick things off with navigating police encounters in general. Then we'll get specific with your rights on the street. After that, we'll talk about what to do when police come knocking on your door. We'll highlight your most powerful rights, and we'll even touch on some special situations. And we'll wrap it all up with the main takeaway. Knowledge is your best protection.
So, first up, let's talk about the big picture. The core idea here is really simple. If you understand your rights, you can handle pretty much any encounter with law enforcement safely and confidently. This isn't about looking for a fight. It's just about being prepared.
Okay, so let's get right into the situations you're most likely to face. We're talking about your rights out on the street. We're going to break down two of the most common scenarios, the classic traffic stop and that often misunderstood procedure known as stop and frisk, or a Terry stop.
Now, this might seem like a lot, but it really breaks down a super stressful situation into calm, manageable steps. First, pull over as soon as it's safe. Use your signal, find a good spot. It shows you're cooperating. Step 2, and this is a big one, get your hands on the steering wheel where the officer can see them. It's a simple way to show you're not a threat, and it helps keep everyone safe. When asked for your documents, just tell the officer where they are before you reach for them. And if they ask that classic question, do you know why I pulled you over? A simple, no officer, I'm not sure, is a perfectly fine answer. Finally, when it all seems to be over, asking politely, am I free to go, is the best way to know for sure that the stop has ended.
Okay, let's move on to another term you've probably heard thrown around, stop and frisk. The official name is a Terry stop, which comes from a Supreme Court case called Terry v. Ohio. Now, this is really important. This is not a full-blown search. It's supposed to be a brief pat-down of your outer clothing, and it's only to check for weapons. An officer can only do this if they have what's called reasonable suspicion.
So this is a big one. What's the real difference between these two? It's all about the level of certainty an officer has. Let's break it down. Reasonable suspicion is seeing something that just looks off. Maybe someone's lurking in an alley late at night. It's more than a gut feeling, but it's not a sure thing. That's enough for a stop and frisk. Probable cause is a whole other level. That's seeing someone actually breaking a window and grabbing something. There's a fair probability a crime just happened. That's the higher standard they need to make an arrest or get a warrant.
All right, we've covered the street. Now, let's move the conversation to a place where your rights are the strongest. Your own home. Your home is your castle, as they say, but you still need to know how to protect it. So picture this, you're at home, maybe watching TV, and there's a knock on the door. You open it, and it's a police officer. They're asking to come inside. Your mind starts racing. What do you do? Well, there's one single question, just 5 little words, that is the most important thing you can ask in that moment. Any guesses?
And that question is, do you have a warrant? See, a warrant is a legal document signed by a judge that gives police permission to enter your home. If they don't have one, you have the right to say no. You can politely step outside to talk to them, close the door behind you, and say, "Officer, I don't consent to a search." It's your right.
Now, of course, there are exceptions. The law calls them exigent circumstances, which is just a fancy way of saying an emergency is happening right now. We're talking about things like an officer chasing a suspect who runs right into your house, or if they hear someone inside screaming for help. In those rare life-or-death situations, they can enter without a warrant.
Look, we're really just scratching the surface here, giving you the absolute must-knows. But if you want to really master this stuff, truly understand it inside and out, you've got to check out the source for this whole explainer. It's Bill Vincent's guide, Know Your Rights. You can find it on Amazon, and honestly, it's an incredible resource for every citizen.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about two of your absolute superpowers when it comes to your rights. These apply in almost every single situation, and they are your foundational tools for protecting yourself.
You've heard it a million times on TV, right? You have the right to remain silent. But here's the thing they don't always show on TV. You actually have to say it. The right isn't automatic. You have to clearly tell the officer, I am exercising my right to remain silent. Once you've done that, all questioning is supposed to stop. Remember, even just trying to be helpful can sometimes backfire.
And this one is huge in our modern world, right? Your phone. You absolutely have a First Amendment right to record police when they're on duty in public. It creates an objective record of what happened. The key word here, though, is interfere. You have to stay at a safe distance and you can't get in the way. Just be calm, quiet, and record.
Okay, so let's say your rights are violated. Let's say the police search your car without a warrant or probable cause, and they find something. Is it all over? Not necessarily. And this is thanks to something called the exclusionary rule. Basically, it says that if evidence is obtained illegally, it generally can't be used against you in court.
So why is this rule such a big deal? It's simple, really. It's the enforcement mechanism for your Fourth Amendment rights. It removes the incentive to cut corners or ignore the rules, because any evidence they find might just get thrown out. It's what gives your rights real teeth.
All right, so far we've been talking about rights in pretty general terms. But what about special situations? Your rights can look a little different depending on where you are, like at a protest, inside a school, or when facing the issue of profiling.
Now, the book we're using as our guide really digs into the complex issue of stop and frisk policies, and it presents some data to frame the debate. For example, looking at New York City during a certain period, the data showed that while Black and Latino residents were about half of the city's population, they made up over 80% of those who were stopped. This disparity is really at the heart of the conversation around these policies.
And to understand the legal argument here, the book puts it very directly. I'm going to quote from it here. When law enforcement officers stop and frisk people primarily based on their race, they may be violating the 4th and 14th Amendments. That's the part of the Constitution that guarantees due process and equal protection for everyone. What about in schools? This is a tricky one. The Supreme Court famously said students don't shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. You still have free speech rights, as long as you're not seriously disrupting the school day. But when it comes to searches of your stuff, the standard is lower. To keep schools safe, administrators only need reasonable suspicion, not probable cause, to conduct a search.
Wow, okay. We have covered a ton of ground, from traffic stops to your front porch to your most basic constitutional protections. But it all boils down to one powerful central idea. Let's wrap this all up.
So if you walk away with just one thing, let it be this simple checklist. Think of these as your 5 golden rules. 1. You have the right to remain silent. 2. You can say no to a search. 3. If you're not being detained, you can ask if you are free to go. 4. If you are arrested, ask for a lawyer immediately. And 5. Through all of it, stay calm and stay respectful. You can be firm in your rights without being aggressive.
Listen, what we've done here is give you the foundation, a primer on your most essential rights. But to really become confident, to truly empower yourself, you need the complete playbook. I can't recommend it enough. Go get a copy of Bill Vincent's Know Your Rights. It's available on Amazon, and it's a tool every citizen should have on their bookshelf.
And that leaves us with one final thought. One last question for you to take with you. Knowing your rights is the first step. The next step is being prepared to calmly and confidently use that knowledge to protect them. After today, are you ready?
Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast.